Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah Hari Om. Om Sukham Nityam Saprakasham Vyapakam Nama Rupayoh Adhishthanam Buddhya Bodhyam Buddher Drukyattu Nirmalam Aparam Sarva Vedanta Vedyam Pratyak Param Maha Tadevaham Namattonyat Iti Me Nishchita Matihi. So we were seeing what the fartherness or closeness is not possible for the self. Tad dure tad antikecha. It is what is the farthest and it is what is the closest. That is what the Shruti says. Because it is the closest, because it is the one which gives substratum. Take it is not just the thing which is farthest and closest. It is that which is the smallest and biggest also. How can these contradictory things be correct? Because it is the substratum for everything. This is the smaller and greatest thing, farthest thing. See, may you say an atom is the quark or whatever. An atom is the smallest particle. Now, that atom is, the existence is given by the self. So it should be even more smaller to exist inside it. So it is the smallest of smallest. And the universe is, for the universe to exist, it not just gives it inside, the outside, the existence, engulfing it, because the self is like the space which engulfs the pot or the room inside out. Similarly, it should have to engulf this creation inside out. Therefore, it is the biggest. So that after saying tasmat tad dure antike cha va vartamanataya nochate. That is why we can't say it is farther or closer, because it is your inherent nature. These are all just ideas to show how great the self is. In reality, the self is self. There is no need for any of these accolades. So he says, Brahma Shabdasya hi vacyartho sopadhikaiva. Now, when we say Brahman, the word meaning of the Brahman, when you say Brahman, it always means attributed self. When you say Brahman, it need not be unattributed self. Brahman can also mean attributed self in the form of the gods, deities, you, me, etc. Vyapakatva dharma vishittasya vastuno Brahma shabda vicheyatva, because whatever has the nature of pervasion, Vyapaka. Now, before entering this topic, I'll have to explain two terms. Otherwise, if I'm going to explain every time, is it pervasion or pervader, or there will be a confusion. Vyapaka is the first word and Vyapya is the second word. These are words used in the logic. Vyapaka and Vyapya. What is Vyapaka? Vyapaka is that which has more pervasion. Vyapya is that which has less pervasion. Or Vyapaka is that which has more existence. Vyapya is that which has less existence. Let us take an example. Fire and smoke. Which exists more, fire or smoke? Which exists more, fire or smoke?
Smoke.
Great. That is the answer I want. Smoke. Smoke is the one which exists more. That is a wrong answer. Reason, fire. Though outwardly looking, smoke pervades the whole room, even though it is in a corner, in agarbatti, but still that is not Vyapaka, more existence. It is fire which is more existence. Why? Because even though the smoke does not exist, the fire exists. The smoke cannot exist without fire, but the fire can exist without smoke. So fire has more existence than smoke. So fire is vyapaka and smoke is vyapya. Fire is vyapaka and smoke is vyapya. Fire has more existence and smoke has less existence. Okay, now coming to this. Vyapaka dharmatva vishishta vastunah, that which has more existence, the objects that have more existence. Brahma Shabda is called as Brahman. We know Bruhi Vruddho. So that which has more existence is called as Brahman. Okay. Idam cha vyapakatvam didham. This more pervasion also is of two types. What are they? Sapekshakam, Nirapeksham chaiti. One which is a Sapekshakam, relative. The other is Nirapekshakam, non-relative. Sapekshakam means relative. The other is a non-relative. So Sapekshikam and Nirapekshikam is Satashiyam, Nirateshiyam. One with attributes, the other is without attributes. That which is non-relative without any association is a non-attributed. One which is associated is a attributed. Simple. Yad vastu, so vyapya apekshaya vyapakam. Whichever object with reference to the less pervading thing is more pervasive. With reference to the less existent thing, more existent. Vyapaka, vyapya, we know this. With reference to the less existence, which is more existence, which has more existence. So, vyapaka, apekshya, vyapyam. And with reference to something which has more existence, it is less existence. See, one object. This object has more existence. So, okay, fire. Fire has more existence or less existence. Fire has more existence when compared to smoke. When compared to smoke, it has more existence. But when compared to something else, this matchstick, it has less existence. Let us see. The matchstick is there, but there is no fire. So, when compared to, you understand, it's an example. When compared to matchstick, a matchstick exists, but there is no fire. Matchstick can exist with fire or without fire. So, matchstick has more pervasion when compared to fire. But fire has more pervasion when compared to, okay, fire has a less pervasion when compared to matchstick. But the same fire has a more pervasion or more existence when compared to smoke. Same fire. From which side? Fire has more existence from which? Smoke. Less existence? Matchstick. Right? So, that is what he says. He says, with reference to the more pervasion, that which is less pervasive, with reference to the less pervasive, that is more pervasive, that apekshika vyapakam ityuchyate. That is called as a relative pervasion or relative existence. That which has more existence than the less existence and less existence than the more existence, that is called as relative existence. It has a relative existence. You cannot say it is great or less because it is relative. With reference to great, it is less. With reference to less, it is great. So, Vrutha Prithvyadi Rupa Swa Karya Apekshaya Vyapini Maya. Chaitanya Apeksha tu na Vyapini Kintu Vyapya. Okay. Example he is giving us a simple. Maya. Maya has more pervasion or less pervasion, or Maya has more existence or less existence. Maya has more existence. Then what? Then the creation. Maya has more existence or less existence? Less existence. Then what? From the Brahman. So, Brahman can exist without Maya, but Maya cannot exist without Brahman. Maya can exist individually, but the creation cannot exist without Maya. So, with reference to creation, Maya has a more existence. With reference to the substratum Brahman, Maya has less existence. So, that has relative existence. You understand? That has a relative existence. So, yatha tasmad mayayam apekshikam apakatvam. Therefore, we can say Maya has a relative existence. relative pervasion. I'm using the term simplified term existence to establish the idea of pervasion. You don't have to remember pervasion. Pervasion means it looks very dangerous. But existence, oh, I understand. That is the simplicity. Okay. Now, idam cha nirapekshaka vyapakatvam chait. Okay. There is a relative existence. There is something unrelated existence, meaning a non-relative existence. It is not with reference to anything. It is what it is. It is what it is. It never changes. What is that which never changes? Except self. Chaitanya, consciousness. Consciousness is something which is which does not have any greater or lesser existence with reference to anything. It has its existence. That's all over. So that is why he says, Yad vastu sarvayakpeksha, whichever object with reference to everything is vyapaka, always more pervasive, more existent. Therefore, that is called as a nirapeksha vyapakatvam, meaning a non-related existence. Idam cha nirapeksha vyapakatvam chaitanya, and this exists only in Chaitanya. How do you know? Nat tat samabcha abhyatikascha drishyate. Shvetashvara Upanishad says there is nothing which is equivalent or greater than the self. There is nothing which is equivalent or greater than the self. Okay. Ityadi Shrutya, with reference to these Shrutis, tat samam va adhikam va na kinchana vyapakam vastu vidyate iti siddhatvat. We understand there is nothing equal to the self or superior to the self. Tasma chaitanyasya eva sapekshaya sarvapekshaya vyapakatva shravanat tadeva nirapeksha vyapakatvam iti siddhati. Therefore, only Chaitanya with reference to everything here, there is everything. For the namesake, with reference to everything, has a more pervasion, more existence. That is why it is called a non-relative existence. It has its existence is not does not come under the E equal to mc square. That is the idea. There is no theory of relativity possible with reference to Chaitanya. Okay. Yetad dvivida vyapakatva vishishtam vastu brahma shabdasya vachyartha. So, this more pervasive and less pervasive, meaning a relative existence. That which has relative existence is the word meaning of Brahman. Okay. Maya shabalita chaitanya dvidham api vyapakatvam vartate. And where does that exist? In Maya associated consciousness, in the consciousness with attributes. Attributed consciousness. Attributed consciousness means don't have to fret over it. Attributed consciousness means everything. Whatever we see is attributed. Whether it is a you, me, or Ishvara, there is attributes. If you see, there is attributes. So, in attributed, in the consciousness which is attributed, you have the both the states, which is a less and greater. Even if you take Ishvara, God is superior than humans, superior than us, mortals, but is inferior than the self. Inferior than the self. Therefore, there is a relative existence. So he says, Vishishta Nishta Visheshani Bhuta Maya Rupamshe Apeshika Vyapakatvam Visheshya Bhuta Chaitanyamshe Nirapeshya Vyapakatvam Chavartate. In that Maya associated consciousness, with reference to Maya, there is a grade. With reference to consciousness, meaning with reference to Maya, there is relativity. With reference to Chaitanya, there is no relativity. With reference to Maya, there is relativity. With reference to consciousness, there is no relativity. It is always superior. So, Chaitanya ekadeshe Maya satvat Maya vishishta Chaitanya apekshya shuddha Chaitanya se adhika vyapakatvacha tadeva nirapeksha vyapakatvam. So, with reference in one portion of the consciousness, Maya exists. Maya does not pervade everything. Maya exists in one portion of consciousness. So the greater existence is of the consciousness, not of the Maya. Therefore, Shuddha Chaitanya, the pure consciousness, has more existence than the Maya. Therefore, pure consciousness is a non-related existence. Natu Maya Vishishta Chaitanyam, and not the one which is attributed consciousness, Maya associated consciousness. Maya associated consciousness should not be said as a superior, non-relative. Maya associated consciousness is you and me. Maya is ignorance, just that's all. You are ignorant associated consciousness, I am ignorant associated consciousness, that's all. So anything which you see as attributes, oh, how can that be? Anything which you see with attributes, that is a inferior to self, over. So that is the idea there. Okay. तथापि यतो माया विशिष्ट चैतन्यं परमार्थ दृष्ट्या शुद्ध चैतन्याद् अनतिरिक्तं सत् शुद्ध रूपम् एव भवति, तस्मात् माया विशिष्टेपि यश्चैतन्यांशः तत्र निरपेक्षमेव अवगतम् अस्ति. Even though it is so, Maya Vishishta Chaitanyam Padartha Dashtya, in the absolute standpoint of view, in the Maya associated consciousness, Maya associated consciousness has nothing, it cannot be said to be any different from the pure consciousness. Because the substratum is that Maya is just an illusion, there is nothing else. So he says pure consciousness, therefore even in the Maya associated consciousness, whatever consciousness exists, that is a, you know that. Wherever the consciousness exists, whether it is Maya associated or part associated, we don't really care. Consciousness means it is non-relative. Consciousness associated with anything, we don't care. Consciousness is non-relative, that's all. Any association with consciousness is relative. That is the idea, simple idea. Anything associated with consciousness is relative. Anything that which the consciousness associated with anything is non-relative. Anything associated with consciousness is relative. Consciousness associated with anything is non-relative. That is the beauty. Part associated consciousness, part is relative. Consciousness associated with the consciousness is non-relative. Okay, so itham Maya Vishishta Chaitanyameva Brahma Shabdasya Vachyartha. So the Maya associated consciousness is the word meaning of Brahman. Attributed self is the word meaning of Brahman. That is why it is properly said. Shuddha Chaitanyam to Brahma Shabdasya Lakshartha, and the pure consciousness is the implied meaning of Brahman. Pure consciousness is a implied meaning of Brahman. So we have word meaning, we have implied meaning. When I say Brahman, what does it mean? Attributed consciousness. When I say Brahman, what does it mean? The implied meaning, non-attributed consciousness. Brahman word meaning, attributed consciousness. Brahman implied meaning, non-attributed consciousness. Attributed consciousness has less existence. Non-attributed consciousness has more existence. That is the idea. Tasmad Ishvara Brahma Shabdayo Eka Eva Artha Pratiyate na Bhinnartha. That is why when we say Ishvara or Brahman, they sometimes are used in synonyms. Sometimes Brahman and Ishvara words are used in synonyms. Brahman means absolute and Ishvara is also absolute. No. When we say Ishvara and Brahman are synonyms, what we mean is we are not talking about the non-attributed absolute self. We are talking about the attributed superior self. That's all. When we say Brahman as a attributed or Ishvara, when you say Ishvara or attributed Brahman, in this case, in the sense of attributed Brahman, you use Brahman. Or in the sense of Ishvara, if you use the word Brahman, then that is not the superior self. So it is not different. Why? They are talking about attributed self. Tathapi asyayam vishaya. Even though they are used as though they are synonyms with reference to attributed self, Ishvara, Brahman, they are as though they are synonyms. Still, Brahma Shabda Swarasataha Lakshyarthameva Prayasho Bodhayati Kvachit Kadayado Vachyarthamati. See, when I say Brahman, oh, we are talking about self. Immediately, no one is the. Are you talking about the Ishvara or the absolute self? Are you talking about the attributed self or the non-attributed? We don't ask. When I say Brahman, immediately first meaning is a non-attributed absolute self. Only in some places the word is used for Ishvara, rarely. When I say Atma, it is not the case. Atma does not mean non-attributed self. Atma can mean anything I have said. Anything. Indriya can be Atma, your sense organ can be Atma, your desire can also be Atma, your friend can also be Atma, your dog can also be Atma, your cat can also be Atma. Can be. See, Mama Atma. I am Shunakaha, Mama Atma. This dog is my life, myself. Treat it as me. We say that. So, anything, dog, cat, car, everything, your life depends on that phone. So, it becomes your Atma. So, anything can be Atma. Atma not always is referred to as a non-attributed self. It is always used in the sense of attributed self. But Brahman is always used in the sense of non-attributed self. Rarely it is used in the sense of attributed self. Do you understand? That is the difference. Okay. Now, ईदृग् भेद सद्भावादेव लक्ष्यार्थम अवलंब्य ब्रह्म शब्दस्यार्थो भिन्नतया निरूपितः. Based on this sense, we say there is an implied meaning. Otherwise, there is no need for implied meaning and word meaning for Brahman. Brahman means non-attributed. Sometimes, rarely it is used in the sense of Ishvara. Therefore, we say word meaning and implied meaning difference. Okay. Now, coming to the question. What is the question? This fellow said, no, the Shruti itself establishes what? Duality. How did it say duality? It says, Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakhaya. Two birds sitting in the same branch. One eats and one does not enjoy the fruits of karma. He said that. So, he is bringing that topic, 183 to 188. Dva Suparna iti Shrutya Jiva Brahma Bhedaha Avagamyate iti. Anyatha karmopasana vidhi vaiyarthyamiti cha shankaya samadhanam. The doubt that the two birds of same flock, same feather, they stay together, that is taken. The Shruti says, okay, so what? If you don't understand it to be establishing Jiva and Brahman, there is a problem. Problem of what? Problem of the karma upasana, karma and upasana, karma, the activities, and upasana, the meditation portion, which are prescribed in the Shruti, they will become useless, redundant. Why? Because who is that for? If Jiva and Brahman is not different, then who is that for? The Jiva should meditate upon the Ishvara, the other bird, which is not eating. Otherwise, there is no upasya, there is no object of meditation for this Jiva. So that we'll answer, he says, 186. Chaitanyabhaso bhungte kutasto asangaha prakashate. This Chaitanyabhasa, this attributed consciousness, or this reflection of consciousness, it enjoys. And the substratum kutastha, it just stays without enjoying. It just illumines, that's all. This is said. Chaturvidham Chaitanyamuktam. We already said 4 types of consciousness. We already established 4 types of consciousness. What are they? 4. Kutastha, Jiva, Ishvara, Brahman. Kutastha, Jiva, Ishvara, Brahman. 4 types of consciousness. So he says, Tatra, in that, among that, Jiva Swarupa Antargata Mithyabhuta Chidabhasa Amshaha Eva Punyapape Krutva Tat Phalam Anubhavati Na Kutastaha. We have already said this, but he is repeating the idea. He says, see, in the Jiva, when we among the four different consciousness, Jiva, what we said, there, Jiva is in that Jiva, there is this Chidamsha, Chidabhasa, which is illusory, Mithya. The illusory Chidabhasa, the illusory reflection of consciousness that exists. That reflection of consciousness is what is doing the Punya and Papa and experiencing the results of Punya and Papa. Chidabhasa is what is doing the good and bad karmas and experiencing the result thereof. Not Kutastha. Satu asangataya ananda swarupa eva prakashate. He is of the nature of bliss. He just illumines everything. He does not interfere or involve in karmas. Yaduktam बुद्धि रूप वृक्ष जीवः परमात्मा चेति द्वौ पक्षिणौ स्तः तयोः जीवः कर्मफलं भुङ्क्ते परमात्मा तं प्रकाशेन आस्ते इति द्वौ सुपर्णा इति श्रुतेऽर्थः इति तत्र उच्यते. You said what? In the tree of the intellect, there are two birds. One is Jiva, the other is Ishvara. And Jiva experiences the results of karma, and Paramatma, Ishvara, is only illuminating them. That you said, we are going to explain that. Listen to this. Tatra uchyate, we answer. Tat na tatra jiva paramatmano grahyo. With two birds, you should not say, one is Jiva, the other is Ishvara. Or one is Jiva, the other is Paramatma. Don't say that. Why? Then what should I understand? Kintu abhasa karmaphalam bhunkte kutastha prakasham asti iti tasya shruti artha. You understand? See. Two birds. This is a very famous example. Normally, it is always translated as a Jiva and Ishvara or Jiva and Brahman. Always. So, what he is saying is, you don't have to interpret it like that. You have to interpret that one which enjoys is Chidabhasa. And the one which illumines is Kutastha. Simple. The one which enjoys is Chidabhasa and the one which illumines is Kutastha. They both exist in the Buddhi. Over. So, he says, 187. Chaitanya bhasa eva karmakarta phaladata cha nato shuddha chaitanyam. The reflection of consciousness is the one who does the karmas and experiences the result of karma, not the pure consciousness. That is the topic. He says, Jiva Surupa Antargata Chichaya Rupa Abhasamshaha Karma Kroti. In the Jiva, the reflection consciousness which exists, the reflection consciousness, Chidabhasa, that is what is performing the karmas. Chidabhasa is the one performing the karmas. When we say Jiva, actually we are referring to the Chidabhasa. When we say Jiva, we are referring to the Chidabhasa. But why? Because how can Chidabhasa be? Chidabhasa is just reflection. When we say it is just reflection, we don't see it just as reflection. We see it as identified with the consciousness, because Jiva is conscience. And how can there be consciousness without the association with Chaitanya? So, Chidabhasa is Jiva, but it has identified itself with the consciousness. Therefore, you see consciousness plus intellect plus the Chidabhasa as Jiva. The whole game stops if you stop with Chidabhasa. No. There is a mix-up of consciousness and Chidabhasa. The inertness is seen in the self, and self-consciousness is seen in the Chidabhasa. All the confusion starts. So he says that fellow is the one who enjoys who performs the karma and enjoys the result. Okay. Karma kurvata abhasamsha Ishvara Swarupa Antargata Chichaya Rupa Abhasamsha Phalam Prayachati. Okay. He performs and he enjoys the karma. Who is the one who gives the result? Ishvara. Oh, he cannot give. The Veda mantra itself. No, that is not possible. Who is the one who is giving the result? See, who is the one who is performing the karmas? The reflection of consciousness. Who is giving the result? The reflection of consciousness. The reflection of consciousness in Jiva is the one who is performing the karma. The reflection of consciousness in Ishvara is the one who is giving the result. Because we saw Maya Bhasa Asa, that fellow Maya Bhasa, his name is Maya Bhasa. So that Maya Bhasa is the one who is indweller, who is the guider, guiding, etc. All that we said. The instigator, the guider, etc. So he says, Abhasa eva karma karta, abhasa eva phaladata. Therefore, simply put, see, we said Chidabhasa, both are Chidabhasa. Chid means consciousness. Abhasa means reflection. In the Jiva, there is Chidabhasa, reflection of consciousness. In the Ishvara, in Maya, what is reflected? It's not inert, it is consciousness. That is also Chidabhasa. Just to differentiate between Ishvara and Jiva, we say this is Chidabhasa, that is Maya Bhasa. It's just for fun, just for us to understand. Otherwise, both are Chidabhasa. So, simply put, Chidabhasa is the one who is performing the karma and Chidabhasa is the one who is giving the result. Okay? Anena ayamartha siddha. This is what is established here. Jiva swarupa antargata abhasamshaha punyapape krutva tatphalani bhunkte. Punyapape, that is pushpyapape, there is one shaya, pupaya, pape. Punya it should be, okay? So, Jiva swarupa antargata abhasamshaha punyapape krutva tatphalani bhunkte. Probably it is proper in the text. Jiva swarupa antargata, the abhasa, Chidabhasa is the one who performs the karma and who enjoys the result. Ishvara nishtabhasamshaya karma kalani dhanachati. And the Chidabhasa in the Ishvara, Chidabhasa in the Jiva performs the karma and enjoys the result. Chidabhasa in the Ishvara is the one who produces the result. Chidabhasa in Jiva performs the karma and enjoys the result. Chidabhasa in Ishvara gives the result. This is the difference. Okay. Yetadubhaya anugata chaitanyamshe na kapi varta asti. See, the Chidabhasa is the one performing the karma and enjoy the result. The Chidabhasa is the one who is producing the result. But Chaitanya in both the places does nothing. Whether it is avidya associated consciousness or Maya associated consciousness, the consciousness does not do anything in both the places. The doer and the doer experiencer and the provider, etc., are with reference to the reflection. The reflector does not do anything. That is why he says, Jivagata Chaitanyamshe karma kartrutva phala bhoktrutva rupa sambandho navartate. Ishwaragata Chaitanyamshe api na karma phala dhatrutva rupa sambandho asti. So, with reference to the consciousness of Jiva, there is neither experiencer or doer. With reference to the consciousness of the Ishvara, there is no result provider. The performer and experiencer are all with reference to the Chidabhasa. The result providing is with reference to the Chidabhasa of Jiva and Ishvara. That is the difference. In both, the consciousness is not involved with the performance or experience or the providing of result. Yes, tu tasmin chaitanye karma kartru phaladatrutvadikam varnayati sa murkha eva. Oh. What he says? One who establishes the performance, the result, and the giving of result in the consciousness, whoever explains is that like that is an idiot. Murkha eva. He is an idiot. Filtered idiot. Yataha chaitanyam uvetrapi asangam ekarupam vacha vartate. Because in both the places, whether it is Jiva and Ishvara or Ishvara, the consciousness does not change. It is a one unassociated state. That's all. One associated form. Chaitanya matrena kopi bhedagandho asti. With reference to Ishvara or Jiva, with reference to consciousness in Ishvara and Jiva, there is no duality. Even the smell of duality does not exist. Even an iota of duality does not exist. Difference does not exist in consciousness. The substratum of Jiva and substratum of Ishvara, there is no kind of difference. But wait, there is difference. What is the difference? The Kutastha here, and that is Brahman. That is just name. That is also not needed. We just take substratum, Chaitanya. Now tell me, is there any difference? No. Even that namesake, name difference also can be relieved by saying consciousness or substratum. So, यस्तु जीव चैतन्यम ईश्वर चैतन्यात् ईश्वर चैतन्यवा जीव चैतन्यात् भिन्नतया मन्यते स विगर्ह्य एव भवति. One who tries to establish the difference between the Jiva consciousness with reference to Ishvara consciousness or Ishvara consciousness with reference to Jiva consciousness should be scoffed upon, should be just ignored. He should not be given any importance. Tatacha Shruti, because the Shruti says that. What? Brahmatam paradad yo anyatratmano brahm veda sarvam tam paradad yo anyatratmanas sarvam veda. The Brahman just dismisses him. It does not give any importance. It just ignores him. Paradat means it just ignores him. Who? Brahman ignores? Yes. Who? One who sees the self to be different from Brahman. One who differentiates the Brahman and Atma, that fellow is ignored by Brahman. And one who differentiates the self from everything is ignored by everything. That is why in the Taittiriya Upanishad, this is Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Taittiriya Upanishad, it is said one who Udaramantaram Kurute, it's said here. Udaramantaram Kurute atasya bhayam bhavati. One who sees a little bit of difference, then he starts gaining fear. Mrityo samrityam apni Kathopanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also. Mrityo samrityam apnoti yaha naneva vashyati. He travels from death to death. Who? The one who sees an iota of difference. So, and in Taittiriya Upanishad itself, he says, असन्नेव स भवति असत् ब्रह्मेति वेद चेत् अस्ति ब्रह्मेति चेत् वेद सन्तं येनं ततो विदुरति. He is accepted to be an idiot, asan, non-existent. Who? The one who sees the self as non-existent. But one who sees the self as existent, then the people who are learned, they say, the wise men say, oh, he knows. So that is the statement. Etena, with this, Jiva Ishvarayoho Aikya Abhyome Karmopasana Privadaka Veda Bhago Anushthanama Abhavat Nirarthaka Syatiti Dvitiya Shanka Api Idanim Samahita. Therefore, what we said is that if the Jiva and Brahman, the identity between Jiva and Brahman is accepted, then the Karma and Upasana Bhag portion of the Vedas will become useless. That also is answered. That is not useless. Why? Because the reflection consciousness is the one who is a doer and enjoyer, and the reflection consciousness is the one who provides the result. The consciousness, which is substratum for both, is not associated with the doership or experiencership or providership. Therefore, that is taken care of. Jiveshwara anugata chaitanya bhagayoho abhedah abhasagatayoho bhedascha asti. With reference to the chaitanya of Jiva and Ishvara, there is no duality. With reference to the reflection, there is duality. Tasmad ubhaya vidayo api veda bhagayoho pramanyam samacham. Therefore, whether it is the portion, karma portion of the Veda or knowledge portion of the Veda, both are proper. If you accept the knowledge portion, there is no problem, because the knowledge portion is for the Chidabhasa. The karma portion is for the Chidabhasa. The knowledge portion is to understand the Chaitanya. There is no problem here. There is no contradiction here. 188. Jiva Brahmanoho Lakshyartha Abheda Sambhavat Aham Brahma iti Janiya Diti Guru Upadesha. So the Guru says now, Jiva Brahmanoho Lakshyartha, the for the Jiva, the implied meaning of Jiva and Brahman, the implied meaning of Jiva and Brahman is the self, consciousness. So there is a possibility of identity here. Through the implied meaning of Jiva and Brahman, which is the consciousness, the substratum, there is an identity possible. Therefore, Guru now teaches the disciple, Aham Brahma iti janiyat. Understand, Aham Brahma asmi. Aham Brahma asmi. This is a Mahavakya Upadesha. He is doing that. Tattvamasi is the Upadesha which we normally use. Though Aham Brahmasmi is also Mahavakya, we use Tattvamasi because Tat Tvam Asi. You are that. It is easy to explain. Aham Brahmasmi is experience. I am self. You are self is Upadesha. I am self is experience. So the Guru teaches him, understand I am self. Now this can be teaching. Janiyat, no, I am self. Earlier he was saying, you are the self. Now he says, no, I am the self. Okay, Guru Upadesha, Guru says, hey Soumya, dear, Twatkrita Prashna द्वयमध्ये एकस्मिन् वृक्षे द्वौ पक्षिणो स्तः तयो एकः भोक्ता अपरे निरीहः अतः जीवब्रह्मैक्यं न घटते इति प्रथमः प्रश्नः. So among the two questions you asked, the first question is, in one and the same tree, there are two, in the same branch of the same tree, there are two birds. One eats the result, the other just stays there without eating. That is answered. That question, answer for that is resolved. What is the result? That was the first question. Tatra evam samadhanam muktam. This is the answer we gave. एकवृक्षस्थ पक्षिणोः मध्ये एकगूढस्थः अपरः बुद्धौ प्रतिफलित चिदाभास इति एवं ग्राह्यः. So the two birds in the same branch of the tree of intellect, the one tree is the one bird is chidabhasa, the other bird is kutastha. One bird is chidabhasa, the other bird is kutastha. Therefore, natu jiva paramatmano iti grahyamiti. It is not a jivan paramatma. That is how you have to understand. Yetayo ghatakashasya akasha chayayascha bheda iti chaktam. So the difference is like the difference between pot space and the greater space. The difference between these two is the difference between the spot space and the greater space. There is no difference. That is what the idea is. Okay. Twatkrita dutiya prashna ritya na jiva karmapasanayo karta na pi ishvara tatfaladata kintu tau chidavasau eva. So the second question, with reference to the second question, the jiva is not the doer of the karmas and upasanas, and Ishvara is not the provider of the results, but Chidabhasa is the one who is the doer and the provider. Jivagatabhasamjasya karma upasanadi karoti Ishvaragatabhasamsa phalam dadati. The reflection consciousness, the Chidabhasa of Jiva performs the karma, and the reflection consciousness, Chidabhasa of Ishvara gives the result. He is repeating the same idea, that's all. Okay. Deveshwara anugata chaitanyamshastu ghatakasha mahakashavat bheda shunyah. The consciousness in both Jiva and Ishvara, the substratum in both Ishvara and Jiva, they are like a pot space and a great space. Ittam Jivarmano aikyam siddhati. In this way, the identity between the Jiva and Brahman is established. That is what we wanted to say. That is established. You say, how can they be one? This is how they can be one. Atah aham brahmasmi iti eva na vijani tvam vijaniyaha. Therefore, understand I am the self. Understand I am the self. That is what you have to understand. Atra aham shabdartha kutastiti brahma shabdartho mahakasha samataya ukta lakshyartha bhuta shuddha chaitanyamiti cha avehi. Okay. When we say aham brahmasmi, understand I am the self. There, the word I am refers to the kutastha. The word I am refers to the kutastha. and Brahman refers to the Brahman. Or the word I am refers to the pot space, and the Brahman refers to the greater space. Therefore, there is identity. Ahamiti Brahmeti cha shabdayo vachyarthayo aikya asambhavepi lakshyarthayo tat siddhati eva. So, though with respect to I and Brahman, I am Brahman, with respect to I am Brahman, the word meaning cannot be established as identical. Because what is the word meaning of I? Avidya, associated consciousness. And what is the word meaning of a Brahman? Maya, associated consciousness. Though there may not be, or Chidabhasa, though there may not be a commonality there, but the substratum, when you take the implied meaning, there is commonality between I am Brahman. Therefore, hey Soumya, dear, यावत् अहम ब्रह्म इति अपरोक्ष साक्षात्कारः तव दृढतरो न जायते तावत् दुःख दैन्य भयादिकं त्वां न जहाति. यावत् अहम ब्रह्म इति अपरोक्ष साक्षात्कारः तव दृढतरो न जायते. See, until and unless you don't understand the immediate knowledge of I am the self, only till then this sorrow and all etc. will trouble you. The fear, sorrow, etc. will trouble you. Because what is this fear, sorrow, etc.? Surupad, swaswarupad, bhinnataya paramatmano jnanamevate. Seeing the individual self, your inherent nature, to be different from the absolute self is the cause for fear, is the cause for sorrow. So, until you don't understand, until you understand the I am Brahmasmi, the immediate knowledge of this self, till then you will have the sorrow, etc. But once you understand, there is no sorrow, etc. Because what is sorrow? The knowledge of duality. I am different from the self. Not having the knowledge of yourself, the ignorance regarding yourself, that is the cause for pain, sorrow. So he says, how do you know this? Shruti says, Udaramantaram kurute atasasya bhayam bhavati. Even if you see, udu aram means little bit of, even a little bit of, even a little bit of. Udaram means not stomach. Udaram means little bit of, even little bit of. Even little bit of duality, if you see, then you have fear. Tasmat aham brahmasmi iti eva tvam vijaniya. Therefore, understand, you understand the truth as a I am the self. That is how you have to understand. Okay. 189 to 198. 189 to 198. So he says, aham brahmeti jnanam kasyeti vichara. Who gains the knowledge? Aham brahma. I am the Brahman. Who gains the knowledge? I. No, who gains the knowledge? Is it the Chidabhasa? It is the Ishvara? Is it the Chaitanya? All that. He says, Tattva Drishti Prashnati. Tattva Drishti asks the question. Hey Swami, O Lord, Aham Brahma iti jnanam kasya jayate? Kripaya etat me vaktum arhasi. Please tell me, who gains the knowledge I am self? Please tell me. What is the idea? What's your question? Who gains means what is your question? Explain. Prashnasya ayam abhipraya. This is the purport. This is the seed. This is the root of the question. What is that? Aham brahmeti jnanam kim kutastastik jayate uta chidabhasa vishishta buddhehe. Who gains this knowledge? Does the kutastha gain the knowledge I am self? Or does the intellect associated with the reflection? So we saw kutastha, intellect, reflection. So there in one side you take kutastha, the other side, what is jiva? Jiva is kutastha plus a intellect plus a reflection, chidabhasa. So he says, in one side you is the kutastha taking the is the kutastha one who is gaining the knowledge of Aham Brahma, or is it the other part? What is the other part? Intellect and Chidabhasa. Is that gaining the knowledge? Who gains the knowledge? Why? I'll explain. Yadi kutastha iti uchyate tada vikari syad kutastha. If you say it is the kutastha who is gaining the knowledge, kutastha undergoes transformation. He gains the knowledge, he undergoes transformation. That is a problem. No. I said it wrongly. It is the other fellow. Leave the kutastha away from the picture. The rest, what is that? Buddhi plus Chidabhasa. That fellow is the one who is gaining the knowledge. Okay. Yedi Chidabhasa Vishta Buddhe iti uchyate tarhi dasya utpadyamanam aham brahma iti jnanam brahma rupam sya. If you are saying it is of the other part, not the kutastha, listen to this. If it is going to be of kutastha, then the kutastha undergoes transformation. Therefore, it is useless. So you take him out of the picture. You say it is the Chidabhasa with Buddhi. That part, second part, is going to gain the knowledge. Then whatever knowledge he gains, this fellow itself is illusory. This fellow itself is erroneous. How can this wrong fellow gain the right knowledge? Wrong fellow always, it is like garbage in, garbage out. This fellow is garbage. He is going to gain only garbage. There is no other possibility. That is what he says. Whatever knowledge he gains regarding Aham Brahmasmi, that is erroneous. That is what we are gaining. We are trying to gain the knowledge through not the kutastha associated. We are trying to gain the knowledge through the intellect associated ignorance. So the knowledge which we gain is erroneous. Okay. Now, no. It is of the intellect. Okay. Buddhirityuchyate tarhi tasya utpatyamanam aham brahma iti jnanam brahma. Kutastho brahmacheti ubhayam ekameva abhasastu kalpitatvad brahmano bhinna iti pragabhitam bhavata. Because you only said Kutastha and Brahman are same. We said the substratum is same. You call it Kutastha or Brahman, they are not different. The Chidabhasa in both the states are different from the self. It is imagined, superimposed. That is different from the self. That is what you taught me, right? So, tasma, therefore, Brahmano anyasya Chidabhasasya Brahmatvena jnanam Brahmarupam eva. So, that Chidabhasa, which is different from Brahman, whatever knowledge it is going to gain, it is going to gain only of the Chidabhasa or things related to illusion, not of the real. That is why whatever knowledge this fellow is going to gain is only going to be erroneous. Wait. If it is not Kutastha, the other portion, the Buddhi plus Chidabhasa, whatever knowledge he is going to gain is going to be only erroneous knowledge. How? Okay, I'll explain. Yatha sarpad vilakshanaayam rajvam sarpajnanam jayamanam bhranti rupamiva. See, the rope, which is not snake, in that rope, if you gain the knowledge of snake, it is erroneous. In the rope, if you are going to gain the knowledge of snake, it is erroneous. Similarly, this fellow who is not real, if he is going to gain some knowledge, what is the knowledge? It is erroneous. Brahman cannot gain the knowledge because he is always right. And this fellow cannot gain the knowledge because he is always wrong. Who is the one who is going to gain the knowledge? So he says, Evam cha chidabhasa sahita buddhehe jayamanam aham brahmeti jnanam nethartha anubhavam bhavet kintu brahmarupam. Therefore, this intellect associated consciousness, if it's going to gain the knowledge aham brahma, then it is always erroneous. It is never the right knowledge. Aham brahmeti jnanasya brahmatva angikare na tena jnanena mithyavudam jagat. So what? The world is illusory. That does not mean illusoriness. See, one wrong does not change the other wrong. That is all logic. One wrong does not make the other wrong right. No. Minus into minus plus. Yes. So I can also give a logic. Minus into minus plus. Ushna mushtena shamyati in Sanskrit they say. If you have heat, then that heat is beaten by another heat. So he says, if you say that even if it is error, it is not problem, because dream is a wrong thing. In the dream, seeing a tiger is another wrong, but you get up. You get up from the dream. So that can happen, right? So if you are going to bring in that kind of stupid logic, he says, wait, stop there. Don't even think about it. Why? If tena jnanena mitya bhutam jagat, with that kind of stupid knowledge, you are not going to get rid of this jagat, this creation. Yathartha jnanadev mitya brahma nivrittir dushta, because only through the right knowledge. See, just because there is a snake and you have taken the fangs out of the snake does not make it a real. Still there is snake, fangless snake, that's a different thing, but still snake is there. So what he says is yathartha jnana, only through the right knowledge you can get rid of the wrong knowledge, not through anything else. So rajju tattva jnanena mityasarpana vrittitvat, like only the right knowledge of rope can get rid of the snake, nothing else. Tasmad abhasa vishta buddhe aham brahmeti jnanam jayate iti etad vachanam anupannam ivati. Therefore, accepting the intellect associated with the reflection is the one. The buddhi associated with chidabhasa is the one who is going to gain aham brahma. If you say, then that is not right. So the answer from here 190 to 196, he is going to give the answer that pravukta prashnasya uttaram. The aforesaid question, for that the answer is this. 190, 191, he is going to say abhasasya saptavastha, 7 states of abhasa, chidabhasa. There are 7 states of knowledge. Similarly, there are 7 states of ignorance. So that is what is Shubhecha. We saw in the Shweta Sarvedanta, Shubhecha, etc. So Shubhecha is the first Jnana Bhumi. Jnana Bhumi they call it. Jnana Bhumi. So Shubhecha, etc. is with reference to the stages of knowledge. Here, the stages of ignorance. We'll see which stage we are tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnavidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.